We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education will tell you, if you didn't get anything and guess what you're going to get when you become number 4?
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this in a chance, number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America. Systemic racism that has plagued our nation for far, far too long. I said that over the course of the past year that the blinders have been taken off the nation, the American people. What many Americans didn't see or had simply refused to see couldn't be ignored any longer. Those 8 minutes and 46 seconds that took George Floyd's life opened the eyes of millions of Americans and millions of people around all over the world. It was the knee on the neck of justice, and it wouldn't be forgotten. And it's not white Americans' fault, but just a fact.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Good afternoon on the West Coast. Good afternoon in the mountain. Good afternoon in the central. Good afternoon on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the reparationist perspective, bringing you those ADOCS hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for weaponizing our vote and socializing our suffering family. Thank you, one and all, for joining me live on As the World of ADOCS Turns. Your midday wake-up call. Yes, it is, family. SCUY Info.
see you, Black Magic. I see you, Maurice Haru. I see you, Cosetta Hustler. I see you, Brian C. Johnson. And for those of you who have yet to chat who you are and where you're slinging bricks for ADOCS, welcome one and all, ADOCS and allies. Y'all know I love you, Black and Strong. Shout out to YBOC Info. I want to thank you for your generous donation and how you blessed me in educating the masses. Yes, and advocating for ADOCS. We are winning, family. That's what you need to know. Okay, where's my remote? See, I get all charged and then I lose sight that I am every woman on this show. The creator, the producer, the technical support. Child, please, the ghetto. One of these days, though, one of these days, family, and y'all helping me. Y'all are helping a sister. I hope you know you're helping your sister out to become a force to be reckoned with. I'm on my square until and after we reach critical mass. Okay? Because sadly, we still voting blue no matter damn who. Now, I will know that I have made an impact when that nonsense stops. Okay? That's when I will know that it's time to keep going. That's all it's going to be time to do, family. I keep telling y'all. Once we secure the reparations, we got to keep fighting to keep a gate up so we don't have $5 white ADOCS, $5 Hispanic ADOCS, $5 Asian ADOCS, $5 Indian ADOCS. Okay. We just getting started. Y'all might as well buckle up, buttercups, because I feel like going on when y'all show up. You're the wind beneath my wings. I want you to know it. I need you. Yes, please. Thank you, Cosetta. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, family. I need all of that. I'm running my banner down at the bottom. I need you to do these things because I'm being shadow banned. They trying to shut the woman down who was born to talk. Now, how do you do that? I don't think it's even possible. I was born to talk. And of course, I've got to tell the TR root, and I've got to tell it like a TR is. So let's get into it. I only have an hour with you, and I'll give you a few highlights of what you can expect this evening at 6 o'clock. I want to thank all of you who have sent me topics for discussion. It is so much puckery going on, family. I can't keep up with it all. So I thank you guys for sending me the articles you want to hear my perspective on as you co-host in the chat. Yes. Please send it to the repperspect@gmail. Anything you want for me to consider adding to this already action-packed show, please Gmail me at the repperspect@gmail. If one of y'all can moderate and put that down there in the chat. I know Brian knows it well. He sends me a lot. Okay, so I've got a little breaking news before I get into all of the subjects I've got to get into today. Okay, family. So let me break a little news about what's going on in Israel, because last time I heard, Biden gave Israel $735 million additional dollars for weapons and arms so they can take out the Palestinians, all the while claiming he's in support of a ceasefire. Now, I don't know how any of that works. How can you be for with your dollars and against the annihilation of an entire people at the same time? I don't know how you do that. Magically, the Democrats are able to achieve that. That's not something I can do. I'm either for it or against it. That's all I know. But anywho, last time I heard, Netanyahu wasn't going to let up. He was into the extincting of the Palestinian people to the tune of, I think, 300 dead now. They claim it's 231. I saw 300 on another report, child. you just can't ever believe. Let me tell you something. But the Democrats and the Republicans alike believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. Okay. I go to reliable sources to bring y'all what I know or what I believe to be the truth. And I just got this one hot off the press. So, like I said, Israel approves a ceasefire in Gaza after 11-day conflict that they started that killed at least 230 in Palestine and 12 in Israel. Okay, the way Israel's been crying about the Hamas, you'd have thought 300 was dead in Israel and 12 was dead in Palestine. But anywho, let's get into it because I got a lot to cover today and I only got an hour. And I got to race an hour away to get to the dentist. Oh, child, I pray I'm not too numb and drooling on the keyboard so I can bring you your 6 o'clock anti-black racism segment. Oh, Lord, I'll tell him to take it easy. Anyway, so it's now, like I said, first Biden in the Senate approves $735 million additional monies for more arms to take out the Palestinians. All the while Biden is saying he's for a ceasefire. Now, I'm going to do another separate show about this because it blows my mind. Now, I get that we've got to be in support of the Palestinian people, but I just cannot stand the weaponization of everything going on to us, with us, in this country with 3 Ks, being weaponized to argue for everyone else. I'm going to do a show on the CBC and how they cape for everyone, while the other groups they caper for only cape for themselves. Now, that's a whole nother show. But I just want you to know that Ayanna Pressley and Cori Bush have been speaking up. Everybody always likes to weaponize what's going on with us while not doing a damn thing for social and economic justice and inclusion of ADOCS in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Far be it for me to expect the Congressional Black Caucus to work for ADOCS exclusively, given that we are the anchor of this country with 3 Ks, capitalism. Maybe that's just crazy of me to expect. Anywho, so they've been crying in the blues naturally, as they should for the Palestinian people. I'm not for the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people, no more than I am for the ethnic cleansing of ADOCS. And yes, that's exactly what's going on. Okay? That is exactly what's going on when you neutralize an entire people whom you killed and stole from. Then you hire domestic terrorists so you're not in violation of their First Amendment right to join the police department. Then you put those Mickey Thickies in our communities where we're neutralized economically, and you execute us with impunity, under qualified immunity. And then you've got a George Floyd Act where the strongest piece of it to decimate qualified immunity, that's up for grabs. Akin to the anti-lynch bill that's 100 years old. Okay, y'all following me? So, I hope you're following me. Okay, anti-lynch bill is 100 years old. Now I can see the George Floyd Act becoming 500 years old after they pretty much ethnically cleanse us about this piece, make us eat the cost of reparations, all the while using what's happening to us to give Asians protections and AAPI. I want to say $850 million. I lost count on how much money they've spent while telling ADOCS no to reparations. And we're going to study you. For $12 million, we're going to study a cashless reparations plan for you, full of programs that we give with the left and take away with the right to keep you, ADOCS, as the anchor of this country's capitalism. But I digress, because we've been bemoaning about the Palestinians while weaponizing what's happening to ADOCS, Ayanna Pressley and Cori Bush, and everybody else. Not doing a damn thing about what's happening to ADOCS, but we're going to weaponize what's happening to you to stop, to create a ceasefire, of Israel on Palestine. Okay? But we're not going to do anything about your unemployment, underemployment, reparations, redlining into environmentally racist communities and tenement housing, preschool to prison pipeline, qualified immunity, private prison industrial complex, lack of home ownership, lack of business ownership. No, we're going to talk about those things and compare that to why the Palestinians deserve to live. But when it comes to the issues that plague ADOCS, we're not going to speak up on that too loudly. We're going to shroud everything into class-based policies which don't fix race. I got to digress because I have to share this with you guys because only you will understand. I got a lot of texts, right? Because the Republicans are looking to unseat Gavin Newsom out here. And this needs to be on recording to my people, to my followers. You need to understand how I handle these people when they blow up my text. Okay? You've got to hear this exchange. It is rich. It is rich. Okay? I must share it. It's not on the show, but yeah, it is on the show because I got to talk about this. How they always want to create the problem. They use us to be the solution. So let me tell you what just happened yesterday. It's rich. It is so Angela Nirvana. You'll totally understand. You'll totally overstand. Just give me a second. I'm looking on my phone for it because I just need to tell somebody that cares. I need to talk to somebody who gives a damn. Sadly, not enough of our people do. Okay, I have to search. You're welcome. Hold on one second. He may have deleted the whole exchange. Oh, here we go. So, I got this urgent message. Hi, Angela. It's Dave, a volunteer with Gavin Newsom's Stop the Republican Recall of Governor Newsom Campaign Committee. As you know, this recall attempt is being led by a collection of partisan Republicans and hardcore Trump supporters. The boogeyman, you know. The only racist that ever presided in the White House. Okay. Who want us to do less to fight COVID. Will you join me in saying you oppose the recall of Governor Newsom? Now, naturally, my strategy is for a red top of the ticket and a blue Congress to protect the over 53% of ADOCS who rely on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism, right? That's on every level of government. I don't really give a damn about the president. We can give that to the Republicans and put the Democrats in place until they cut the checks in the trillions over multi-generations, right? So what do I respond? Oppose. He writes back. He keeps going. This is when white folks need to know when to stop. Because then I have to unleash a can of whoop ass and tell them what time it really is. That these are two wings of the same oligarchical bird that don't give a damn about ADOCS. But he wants that smoke. He didn't know he was signing up for smoke. Here he goes. I understand. This Republican-led recall effort is being led by a collection of partisan Republicans and hardcore Trump. Okay, wait. He says, I understand. Okay, Trump supporters who. Okay, I'm jumping. And so he says, let me know what you. Okay, he repeats himself. And he says, I understand this Republican-led recall effort is being led by a collection of partisan Republicans and hardcore Trump supporters who want us to do less to fight COVID. Governor Newsom needs to focus on COVID relief and recovery, not a special election. Let me know what you think. I know he regrets asking that. I made sure he regretted asking that. Let me know what you think, or if you have any questions, exclamation point. I think the governor and the mayor need to do far more on social and economic justice and inclusion of American descendants of chattel slavery. Since Prop 209 upended all of our affirmative action, We've now gone from 16% to less than 5% in California. While most jobs require we be bilingual in the country our ancestors built with their lives. It makes absolutely no sense that institutional systemic racism has rendered us the highest unemployed, underemployed, and the most homeless in California. It's diabolical. And the Democrats are only marginally better than the Republicans. And they work for immigrants, especially those they can make white, like Asians and Hispanics, while tethering me and my people to the bottom of the Titanic as the anchor of this country's capitalism by design of institutional systemic racism. The benign neglect is deplorable. He writes, hours later, thank you for your feedback. I wrote, you're welcome, with an exclamation point. I give myself a round of applause. Yes, I do. Y'all, I laugh because it's to keep me from crying, okay? Anyway, let's go back. So, like I was saying before, I got that spiritual idea to share with y'all. I'm moving the spirit on this show, y'all. Anything may come up and out. It's a hodgepodge, okay? So, listen, when God says share, I share. That's how I work over here. Y'all just got to be patient. Whatever we don't get to, we roll over, okay? So I was explaining how everybody's crying for the Palestinians, rightfully so, weaponizing what's happening to us to give them some relief. I don't agree with that. If you weaponize it, then fix it. That's what I agree with. Anywho, and so Biden talked with Netanyahu and told him to cease fire, you know, because he's getting pressure from the left, right? And so Biden talks to Netanyahu. Netanyahu tells Biden, pretty much said, kiss my ackle back of my soda cracker. Now I get this news breaking story that Israeli media cabinet approves ceasefire in Gaza. So Israeli media say Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Security Cabinet has approved a unilateral ceasefire to halt an 11-day military operation in the Gaza Strip. The decision came after heavy U.S. pressure to halt the offensive. This is a breaking news update. Israel unleashed a new wave of airstrikes across the Gaza Strip on Thursday, and Hamas fired more rockets into Israel, despite growing signs that the sides were close to a ceasefire that would end 11 days of heavy fighting. In an apparent sign of progress, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened an emergency meeting of his security cabinet where the issue of a ceasefire was expected to be debated. An Egyptian official said Israel has informed his government, which is mediating a truce, that it intends to end its military operations in Gaza. Speaking on condition of anonymity, because he was discussing behind-the-scenes diplomacy, he said an announcement was expected following the security cabinet meeting. The official spoke shortly after Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi talked by phone with President Joe Biden. The two leaders discussed ways to stop violence in the Palestinian territories, el-Sisi's office said. In Washington, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said reports of a move toward a ceasefire were clearly encouraging. She said the U.S. was trying to do everything we can to bring an end to the conflict, while giving them more money for arms prior to the conflict, and wanting us to believe it was just a coinky-dink. Anywho, with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urging an immediate ceasefire, a UN Mid-East envoy was in the Gulf state of Qatar to help with efforts to restore calm, a diplomatic official said. Energy-rich Qatar often helps mediate between Israel and Hamas and has donated hundreds of millions of dollars for development and humanitarian projects in Gaza in recent years. The diplomat spoke on condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to discuss the matter with the media. Osama Hamdan, a top Hamas official based in Lebanon, also said he expected a ceasefire within the coming day. Biden on Wednesday publicly pressed Netanyahu to wind down the operation. The Israeli leader initially pushed back, appearing determined to inflict maximum damage on Hamas and a war that could help save his political career. But by Thursday evening, Israeli media were reporting that a ceasefire agreement was expected to take effect by early Friday, perhaps sooner. Despite the signs of progress, fighting continued into the evening with Israeli airstrikes on targets in Gaza and Palestinian militants firing rockets toward Israel cities. In past rounds of violence, fighting has picked up in the final hours, with each side trying to eke out a final achievement before a ceasefire went into effect. Earlier Thursday, explosions shook Gaza City and orange flares lit up the pre-dawn sky, with bombing raids also reported in the central town of Deir al-Balah and the southern town of Khan Yunis. As the sun rose, residents surveyed the rubble from at least 5 family homes destroyed in Khan Yunis. Heavy airstrikes also hit a commercial thoroughfare in Gaza City. So you get the idea. It looks like we're headed towards a much-needed ceasefire. So let's get into the rest of today's show. Now, hold on one second. Let me stop that. Okay, so I want to talk about how George Floyd's protest forced Britain to reckon with its role in slavery, leading some companies to pay reparations. This is dated June 18, 2020. I just became aware of this. I don't even know how. I read so much, I watch so much to bring you guys the hot topics relative to ADOCS, you see. ADOCS hot topics, that's really what it is. And so I'm looking and following the bag and pocket watching and all of that, okay? Be sure to sign up for my email list at the repperspect.com, the repperspect, short for the reparationist perspective.com. Thank you, Brian. I think I saw you on Constant Contact. I appreciate you being proactive. I need the rest of you to go over there because I'm looking to become my own Patreon so I can educate the masses and advocate for ADOCS full time. So that site will be complete with a way to contribute to my work of education and advocacy. You'll be able to get a lot of the series. I've got a good 10 over there right now that are waiting for me to download and upload into. You'll be able to get the videos on subscription for a very, very nominal price, you know, like how you would do, say, Prime Video. Some of them are, you know, you have to rent them for a few days. It'll be the same thing once we get everything download and upload into its respective show titles. There'll also be merchandise. It's going to be so much fun. Coffee mugs, t-shirts, satchels, things of that nature. It'll be great. So make sure you sign up your email over there so I can keep you apprised, and I'll have a place to warehouse on that website all of my videos. So what happened to me over in Racebook can never happen again. If ScrewTube decides to cancel me, you guys will know where to go, and I'll know how to find you to tell you, hey, they disabled me for telling the truth. Okay, so like I said, I found this some kind of way, but it's powerful that what happened to George Floyd is actually getting the companies to pay reparations over in Britain. So let's talk about it, because we need to understand that it's not just the U.S. government that owes. The banks and the insurance companies owe us a grip. Ooh, to Jesus, a grip. So the Bank of England apologized on Friday for its historic links to slavery and promised to ensure no images of former bank officials who owned slaves or profited from slavery are on display. I don't care about your symbolism. Yes, do that. But I want to see what kind of money is here. The UK Central Bank had 27 former members, including 11 former bank governors and 16 directors who owned slaves or profited directly from the slave trade, according to a database maintained by University College London. The bank's announcement comes one day after 2 venerable brand name British companies, Insurance Exchange, Lloyd's of London, and the Brewer Green King, announced that they would make reparation payments for the historic role the firms played in slavery. The Royal Bank of Scotland, one of the country's biggest retail banks, which has several slaveholding directors, told the Daily Telegraph that it's considering doing the same. Some of this stuff has typos. The announcements are a significant victory for the UK's Black Lives Matter protests, which, while sparked by the killing of George Floyd in the US, have sought to highlight racial inequalities and injustices closer to home. The current movement has succeeded where earlier attempts to wrest compensation from companies with slave-tainted past included several lawsuits against Lloyd's of London filed by the descendants of slaves in the US in the early and mid-2000s had failed. So yes, we, in fact, were trying to sue the banks. And we'll get to that article momentarily. What time is it? 1:31. Okay, let me see if I can jump to that article real quick. Yes, family, we were trying to sue the banks, and it was an epic fail. This was back in 2006. So that's what I love about these articles. What they do is they lead me on a hunt for, things that I knew not of, and things that I can share with you that I know you know not of. So just give me a second, and I'll pull that article up. Oh, where'd it go? These things are everywhere. Give me a second. Welcome to the live. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Okay. This is crazy to me. Let me lawsuit. I don't understand where half my stuff goes. I work on cleaning it up before my show against banks for reparations. Okay, let's look at this. Now, accept all. Okay. USA descendants of slaves tried to revive reparations lawsuit against 17 firms. Now, this was in 2006, September's this article, including Aetna, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Lehman Brothers. Now, there's a story timeline here. Slave descendants tried to revive landmark reparations case. Lawyers for slave descendants asked a federal appeals court Wednesday to revive a landmark reparations case that demands 17 of the nation's insurers and banks publicize and pay for their roles in the country's slave trade. The case names JP Morgan Chase and Company, Aetna Incorporated, Bank of America, Lehman Brothers, and others. Lawyers for the companies told a panel of judges at the 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Chicago that the case is without merit. The 3-judge panel seemed to agree. Let me read. The court hears appeal of reparations suit. The National Slavery Reparations Movement attempted to keep its cause alive in a federal appeals court Wednesday, arguing that major corporations financed the 19th century slave trade and should have to pay millions of dollars today to slave descendants. Corporations including JP Morgan Chase, Aetna, Bank of America, Brown and Williamson Tobacco Corporation, now Reynolds American, CSX Corp, New York Life Insurance Co., and about a dozen others were named as defendants, but lawyers representing the companies said the current claims failed to prove a connection to the defendants. Let me show you a video now. This would be a great time to introduce the video that shows how the banks were participatory. Welcome, one and all. Thank you, my love. He wasn't looking for that informed answer. You're right. TS1, welcome. Okay, so let me share this video. It's very succinct. It's about 5 minutes. It's going to help me to round this topic out, okay, and jump back to the article. But in effect, Great Britain, the Great Britain descendants of slavery have managed to procure in the companies what we have yet to. The banks in Great Britain, what we have yet to. But it's promising, right? Because it really came on the heels of George Floyd. They've been fighting for a long time. So let's look at this video about how the banks owe us for reparations. It's about 5 minutes, so buckle up, buttercups. But it does a very succinct, video on how banks made money from slavery, which is why they owe us, and what these appeals courts are telling us is a crock of shite. Okay, let me share it. Oh wait, did I share the? Oh, let me stop. I'm gonna make it bigger. Give me a second. I have to press the audio piece. I wish that was automatic, but it's not. Share audio. It's a great, succinct video about how the banks in Britain fed the slave owners here. Oh, it's rich. Give me a second, family. Oh, Lord, did I stop the thing? Oh, here it is. Okay. Share. And then let me make it larger than me so you can see it. And let's get started. Welcome to the live.
If you want to know why you're so tired so often, look at this banana.
Well, that's not
It's
what
fresh,
I wanted. I don't
brightly
want
colored.
that. Oh, Lord.
Banks give you loans. Banks send you checkbooks you never use. Banks even text you when your account is overdrawn. Banks are so important that when they get into a mess, the government bails them out, unlike the rest of us. But did you know that the banks that exist today, maybe even the bank that you use, were built off the back of slavery? Empires of Dirt, a show about Europeans getting rich at the expense of everyone else. From 1619, 11 million African men, women, and children were stolen from their homes and put to work on the sugar, tobacco, and cotton plantations of America and the Caribbean. Their forced labor helped build Britain into a global superpower. And even after slave owning was abolished in Britain, the British taxpayer still paid £20 million. That's 40% of the national budget, or 16.5 billion in today's money, as compensation for slavery. No, not to the slaves. The money went to the owners. Not a single penny was given to those who had been enslaved. The amount borrowed was so huge that the debt wasn't paid off until 2015, which means that if you paid tax at any point before that, your money went towards compensating slave owners. All four of the UK's largest high street banks have been linked to the slave trade by way of these compensation payments for their loss of human property. Barclays Bank was founded out of a merger with a colonial bank that helped fund the British Empire, and several senior Barclays bankers were involved in the slave trade. Through HSBC's merger with Midland Bank, one of its first managers, George Pollard, received £230,000 of today's money from British taxpayers as compensation. In exchange, he gave up 134 enslaved people on the Caribbean island of Nevis in the 1830s. The president of Lloyd's Bank, John White Cater, also received compensation for estates in Jamaica in 1835. And 27 former members of the Bank of England were linked to slavery in the 18th and 19th centuries, including 11 former governors. Even after Britain abolished the slave trade in 1807, we continued to profit off it. Bankers just pivoted to indirect means of making money from the exploitation and trafficking of human beings. The City of London provided the finance for slave traders all around the world, and loans were one way of making money. So a British bank would loan money to a US plantation owner to buy more slaves or agricultural equipment. If you think mortgages are secured against the land you own, think again. So-called plantation mortgages, where US slave owners would borrow money from British banks, were secured against the value of the slaves they owned, not their land. The Royal Bank of Scotland offered plantation mortgages. So did Barclays. These mortgages were then bundled into bonds and sold to investors all over the world. When the US slave owners made repayments, the people who owned those bonds made a small profit. The City of London has defined British wealth for hundreds of years. Money comes in and money goes out to countries all over the world, and our status as a global power rests on our financial institutions. But the labor that built many of these institutions was enslaved. Iconic buildings like the Guildhall in the heart of the City of London epitomize Britain's involvement with the slave trade. Between 1660 and 1690, 15 Lord Mayors of London were shareholders in the Royal Africa Company, which shipped more African slaves to the Americas than any other institution in the history of slavery. A statue of William Beckford Sr., twice Lord Mayor of London, still stands in the Guildhall to this day. Beckford grew rich off the toil of slaves he owned on 20,000 acres of land in Jamaica. The Royal Exchange was the heart of the City of London, where stocks were bought and traded from all over the world. It was funded by Sir William Garrard, who helped to develop the Moroccan slave trade in the 1500s. So the blood and toil of African slaves literally helped build the bricks of the City of London. Following the Black Lives Matter protests, the insurance company Lloyd's of London agreed to pay reparations to Black community groups for its involvement in the slave trade. Campaigners are calling on the banks to follow suit. So when you go to withdraw cash from an ATM, remember that it was your bank that was complicit all those years ago. Slavery built the financial institutions we use today.
Lloyd's, let me just back that up so I can read those into in memoriam here on this particular show. HSBC, we are committed to learning from the past and in particular, anything that would be inconsistent with our values today. HSBC has zero tolerance towards racial discrimination or any other type of discrimination. Lloyd's, we stand against racism, slavery, and discrimination in all its forms and truly believe that by reflecting, understanding, promoting, and valuing the diversity of our colleagues, we will deliver better results. Barclays, we can't change what's gone before us, only how we go forward. We are committed as a bank to do more to further foster our culture of inclusiveness, equality, and diversity. RBS, Royal Bank of Scotland. We have recently set up a task force led by our BAME colleagues, which will look at what more we can do as a bank. This includes looking at making contribution to BAME groups, the Bank of England was never itself directly involved in the slave trade, but is aware of some inexcusable connections involving former governors and directors and apologizes for them. The bank is committed to improving diversity and is actively engaging with staff, particularly with our BAME colleagues, to help us identify steps that can be taken now to be as inclusive as possible. Let me speak on this before I finish reading these. The challenge I have with this is we don't need reparations going to community groups. We see the way Black Lives Matter, the Federation, has raised in 1 year alone $90 million. And many of the parents of the executed children and family members have received very little to no money. When I reflect on the grassroots leaders who have been executed, while many of the reports are claiming they've committed suicide, Black Lives Matter has not given them any money for their lawsuits or for their investigations. when I look at our own HR 40 and the way in COBRA and NARC, Pan-Africanist organizations are trying to be in control of whatever comes of that HR 40. That's problematic because the reparations I'm fighting for and my comrades are fighting for is specifically for American descendants of chattel slavery. Just like I can't collect anything in form of reparations from the Great Britain, in form of whatever monies comes for colonization retribution, in terms of CARICOM, none of ADOCS can take a piece of that. Ergo, no one but American descendants of chattel slavery should be entitled to reparations in this country with 3 Ks. Okay? This is why I'm so proud of my work alongside the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. We've got AB 105 just about locked up. We have decided we want to be identified as Black American descendants of U.S. chattel slavery. Okay, and that was a help of you comrades too, ADOCS and allies alike. When I send the charge, I want to thank you for every phone call, every tweet, every Instagram post, every Facebook quote, every Facebook comment, every Instagram comment, every tweet, every email, every phone call. It has been very instrumental in how we're getting so far on the reparations. Right now, we've got the Bruce family is about to get restored to them property that was stolen from them by eminent domain in Manhattan Beach. That's been over 100 years since that happened to the Bruce family. And those homes are now valued at $2.7 million. So do know that your advocacy and you're fighting alongside me and my comrades here is not only setting the stage for what's to happen here, but as the way of California goes, so goes the nation. Okay, so do know that we are winning to get that distinction, because what I also find problematic in them trying to come up with programs is that they flatten Blackness so that they don't have to give ADOCS a damn thing. Most of the Blacks they're hiring are immigrant Blacks. And as I've already shared with you, here in LA, per the Color of Wealth LA from 2004 to 14, I don't even know what it is today, but 2004 to 14, ADOCS was 200 liquid to African immigrants, 60,000 liquid. Okay? Our median income was 53.5. Their median income was like around 125. So Black immigrants aren't struggling. They of the 3 trillion, of the 2.54 trillion we share as a Black collective here in this country, Black immigrants predominantly share in about 2.5 trillion. Most of it. 10% is shared by mostly Black immigrants who are predominantly 10% of our makeup here in this country. 90%, which is predominantly ADOCS, share less than 700 billion. So when folks start paying lip service to how much money we've got to spend, you're talking less than $1 trillion for 90% of the Blacks in this country. And all of this is by design of institutional systemic racism. They are weaponizing immigration against us. They've already done so to neutralize us economically. Now they're coming for the vote. And they're working to make Black immigrants the face of Blackness in this country. But for the reparationist perspective, and other shows who kind of allude to this, but I go straight in on all of the puckery, and I expose it every opportunity I get. Hence why I'm being shadow banned. Hence why I was disabled, all of my accounts, okay, from Facebook. So please like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. But I had to introduce that because I'm almost, I'm going to stop it here so I can read your comments, because I've got to be out of here at 2 to get to the dentist. Now, I will be back. Well, I pray to be back at 6 p.m. this evening with your anti-Black racism report. let me tell you before I read your comments and pray us out. We'll pick this up again, family. I just wanted to start introducing how the banks, the corporations, the insurance companies owe us a grip. And yeah, I wanted to, that's actually where I heard that we had failed at getting reparations here through the corporations. I learned about it through that video. Once I played it, it brought it back to memory. So let me tell you what you're in for this evening. Preferably, I'm not too numb. You'll know if I don't come back, I'm just too numb, and I'll pick it up tomorrow because I owe you a day. I missed a day. I missed yesterday. My daughter had a minimum day, and then she had a track meet. So just know that ADOCS life is happening, but it is my intent to be here with you Monday through Thursday for your midday wake-up call at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time and your anti-Black racism report at 6 p.m. all on the West Coast, family. So I'm doing all I can in between my meetings and my job. So tonight we're going to go over I'm Scared. So Associated Press obtained video of the deadly arrest of Mr. Ronald Green. Shout out to, this was in Louisiana. Shout out to Trey X, who shared this information with me via text. What we know about the killing of Elijah McClain, I'm going to give you some updates on that. We're going to talk about Black business owner who was shot and killed. He shot and killed a burglar. He served 1 year, and he's awaiting trial. So and then the last piece to tonight's segment, is there racial bias in stand your ground laws? Of course we know it is, but we're going to get into it, and I'm going to share the way I see it as per usual. So let's see here. Let me come back over to you guys and see what you've got to say about it. We'll stop that for now. You get the idea. Okay. Stop screen. All right. So let's see what you have to say, and then I'll bid you adieu until 6 p.m. this evening. If I don't make it back, as I said, I will do the segment tomorrow when I'm not drooling on my keyboard. Okay. So I know you can't see, but I wave back. Oh, okay, Maurice. Thank you for waving back. Thank you guys for your love and for your support of my voice on behalf of ADOCS in the fight for reparations. Cazetta says, hi, I'm still at work. I got the notification. That's great news, family. Not many people are getting the notifications, and they can't find me. So wherever you find, just in your Facebook spaces, please share with the family that they can come over here and find me at 12 noon and 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday Pacific Standard Time, and to like, share, subscribe, okay, and turn on the notifications. Brian, like and share so the masses can be aware. Email Angela at thereprespect@gmail.com. Oh, that's Brian, my co-host. Thank you. He's one of my faithfuls. I appreciate you so much. Cosetta says, I don't know about voting blue in 22. We need another party. Tired of being tired. Well, let me help you, sis. I know you're feeling in your sentiment. I don't think that I think the Congress is going to turn red, and then Biden will be with the people he is. He's really a Republican in Democratic clothing. Trust and believe. And while I get that we're tired of voting blue no matter who, sweetheart, a blue Congress is slightly better than a red one. Yeah, it's tough, sis. I listen, right now we've got a trifecta, and it still doesn't work because 8 Democrats voted against a $15 an hour minimum wage, and the median national home price is $340,000. So a trifecta of either party gets us George Floyd. That's why I'm asking, especially in 2024, it's a wash this time around because we didn't invoke the strategy. And nobody was pushing the strategy like I am now in the last election cycle. There's no way Biden Harris should be at the top of this ticket. Had vote dim down ballot been effective. And it was ineffective because it was taught to us wrong. We should have stopped being so damn afraid of Trump, who is a racist, an overt racist in office of 4 years with no record against ADOCS. I don't know how in the world we're more afraid of that than we were the author of the 94 crime bill. Jim Crow segregationist Joe. And it's Kamala the Chameleon who calls herself Cali's top cop. Okay, so how in the world they both have records against ADOCS, several New York City blocks long. So for me, a lot of this is about slowing the system down so that we can put pressure on the Democrats to deliver us the reparations and the trillions over multi-generations. Right now, so watch. The Democrats are so much Republican, you can't really tell the difference. So I'm just trying to push for a red top of the ticket and a blue Congress. I'm gearing up for that for 2024, really, because this time around, we're done. The only way a red Congress can help us right now is to slow down immigration. Biden and Harris have designs to bring in about 22 million more. They're already 70 million to our 37. So they're looking to give them all the benefits and give them everything that was due us. They're intending under the New America plan to give to the immigrants. That would be the value of having a red Congress, maybe. Because see, both the Democrats and the Republicans are for immigration and weaponizing it against ADOCS to make us a permanent underclass and to make us eat the cost of slavery in the country our ancestors built with their lives. So know that they are complicit in this. Okay? They pretend, the Republicans pretend like they want that wall. But they understand economically how weaponizing immigration against us makes us homeless. They understand what they're doing because these plans are over hundreds of years in the making. The roof is not only on fire, ADOCS is on fire. Brian says, so listen, do what you will this election cycle, but come 2024, I need this message to go viral. I need it to go viral that we need a red top of the ticket and a blue Congress. There's no other way. We're not going to make it. We're not going to make it if we don't get reparations. And I'm talking cash repair, not these programs that they give with the left and take away with the right, like affirmative action. Brian says we can sympathize, even empathize with other disenfranchised groups. However, we need to learn how to put up gate around our own issues and justice claims. Black Magic gave all of the applause. TS1 gave you fire. He wasn't looking for that informed answer. Brian's referring to my response when the guy was asking me what I thought, if I had any questions or comments. No, he wasn't looking for me to give him that smoke about what the governor and the mayor alike are doing to oppress and drive ADOCS up out of California. No, he was not looking for that. You're absolutely right. YVox says, great responses, Angela. Thank you, my love. Black Magic, HSBC was just busted working with the drug cartel back in like 2016. Lady K Love, welcome to the live. Oh, it's all so much punkery. And none of these statements are speaking on reparations they owe. Amen and amen. Brian says, notice how these companies are remarking about being against racism and promoting diversity and inclusion. Trick bag language. You are absolutely right, Brian. You smell a rat. Y'all got to stop falling for this. People of color, minority. We used to be people of color. We are no longer people of color. We are American descendants of U.S. chattel slave labor. Do you understand what I'm telling you? We need to keep that chattel in their face because they are trying to ethnically cleanse us up off the face of this America with 3 Ks. They're trying to make us eat the cost of slavery. They're up to no good, trick no good, family. And that's why we're here faithfully sounding the alarm, right, family? That's what we do. Brian says, these statements scream a face-saving scam. You don't make amends to someone you've stabbed by handing out Band-Aids to other people. Woo, that Brian C. Johnson fire. With that said, family, I got to hit the freeway. I love you, Black. I love you, strong. If I don't see you tonight at 6, I'll see you tomorrow at 12 noon and 6 p.m. after the anesthesia in my mouth has worn off. Peace, family. Love you.